Hi guys, welcome to a very quick video. It's the first sort of particular tutorial that I'm doing in the new year, I suppose. This one's about the swimming pool. So I get a lot of questions about my fake swimming pool in my builds that I do, like this one here on screen. And I'm going to just quickly teach you how to achieve this effect and have people thinking you've actually got a swimming pool in your property or your camp. So I've just jumped out of my shelter into the public world, let's call it. And I've got two options here for you. So there's a very simple option of using the actual water in the game if your camp is close enough to a lake, river, whatever you want to say. And you can see here I've actually got real water in the middle of it. How do you do this particular option? Well, very simply, place your foundations in the water, as you can see, just up to a certain level, however deep you want your swimming pool to be, and just put them around the edge. Very simple, very easy. But as I say, this option isn't for everyone because, of course, not everyone wants their camp by the actual water or the lake. There's good options out there, but if you're someone like me who just likes to have a sort of an open choice of where you put your camp, then the next option will be for you instead. And you can see there I've just overlapped two of the foundations just to make it a bit wider than one single foundation, give it that effect of an actual swimming pool rather than just a pool of water or a puddle in your camp. So that's option one, very easy. So the other option that you've just seen in my build that I showed you at the beginning of this video is the one that you can build any way you want. Of course you can't use it, there's no actual water in there, but as I say, I get quite a number of comments about people thinking it's some sort of custom build or a mod. I don't use mods, let's just be clear about that. I'm on PlayStation, you can't even use mods as far as I'm aware. Correct me in the comments if you think otherwise, but I don't use mods. So this is the custom way of getting a swimming pool in your property, especially for us modern builders. Of course you could probably adapt this to an empty version of a swimming pool if you wanted to do an abandoned build or a scrappy build or an immersive build, I suppose, from a property that has no water left in the build itself. I'll show you how to do it very simply, I suppose, off the top of my head. I'll just have a think about how to do it while I'm speaking. So same as before, like I've just shown you with option one that's over there. Whack your foundations down here, try and overlap it once, just to give that wider effect. You can see here it's 1.5 foundations in width and 2 in length for the dimensions. You can do it bigger, smaller, whatever you want to do, but of course to try and get that swimming pool effect you want it big enough that it looks like an actual swimming pool, not a puddle like I mentioned. So how do we do it? You choose your own foundations around the edges. I've used the white spring tiles here for that clean effect. You can use any texture you want. It's entirely your choice. For the inside though, I've opted for this foundation Starscape texture. I can't remember where it came from. I wonder if I can find it on here very quickly while I'm speaking. There you go, Starscape. It looks like it's an Atom Shop item. You might be able to claim it through the Bethesda support website, but I can't be confident on that one. Again, let me know in the comments if you can. So why did I use this one? From far away, supposedly far away, you can see that it looks a bit like nice deep water. It's quite dark in colour, but if you're just running through, you're going to look twice and think, what the hell is that? Of course, when you get close, you've got these little details here, the stars. Ignore the planet, but let's just pretend it's a little ripple. But it looks like rippling water. It looks like it's actually meant to be there with a bit of foam on the water, etc. So it just gives you that effect of a swimming pool. So that is the option I go for. That's the option you see in my builds. That option I don't use as much, as I mentioned earlier in the video, because I just simply don't build next to actual pools of water, and the water's dirty. I mean, it's irradiated. Who wants to swim in it? Of course you can't swim in this. But there's your custom swimming pool idea. So what we're going to do now is just give you a few ideas as to how to dress up your custom swimming pool. I say dress up in terms of detailing. So for example, sometimes I like to do custom steps leading into it. So if we use free place here with the foundation, you can see that I'm just doing this while I'm speaking here. I'm just going to put two simple ones down the edge. It's a very small detail, but what it does is just allows you to have a look at it, immediately realize what it is and what it's trying to do, and it just gives it that added detail rather than it just being a couple of square foundations. I'm just trying to find there you go, white spring tile, a couple of steps leading in. Of course you could do this however you wish. If I'm go over here just for demonstration, you can do triangle steps leading in. I've messed that one up, but let's just keep going. There you go, triple steps walking in. Doesn't look as good in the corner as the corner one, in my personal opinion. If you're going to use that though, just beware that when you use a diagonal piece, it does stick out the other end. So if your swimming pool's attached to your property, that will hide that piece there. So just a couple of ideas for steps leading in. Of course, you can use actual stairs. For example, these ones, they won't snap because of course there's a conflict, but you can add them around the edge. Again, doesn't look as good in my opinion, but each to their own. It's just an idea. You can also go to your decorations and you can go to balloons, entertainment, whatever you want. Sometimes I go down to this one here and you could just sink it in so it looks like, I don't know, a floating ball that somebody's kicked in there and haven't bothered retrieving for whatever lazy reason they decide on. You go to your furniture, you go to your seating, and you've got some options, not too many options, but of course there's some options for outdoor seating. You can use, I don't know, 2 of these. You can use, there's a particular one down here somewhere. There you go, you've got your little wavy Willards inner tube deck chair. I don't really like them, but again, each to their own. I'm going to use 2 of these, the lounger, and then you start detailing it with, I don't know, storage pieces, displays, stash boxes. There you go, we've got a cooler. That makes sense to have. You've got your decorations, your crockery. You can put a few beers down there if you and the pals are having some beers. You can do some messy ones down the side here. And you could just make it, you know, just look a bit more like an actual swimming pool that you're gonna, oh look at that sun ray just coming down showing us off this swimming pool that we're doing here. So just a few options to decorate your swimming pool, just make it look a bit more like it's meant to be there, and hopefully jazz it up a tiny bit. As I mentioned not long ago, just for those scrappy builders here, in case not everyone wants to do modern builds like I do, which is fine, I've just quickly changed a few things up. I've changed some of the textures, I've added a few details just to make it look like an immersive scrappy sort of area. Of course you'll have it attached to your property, which will also be scrappy, immersive, damaged, etc. And I've just added some details here. So I've got broken tiles here. Let's just go on there. Destroyed tiles, sorry. I've got the lazy river tiles because of course it looks damaged, it looks, you know, worn, war-torn, whatever you want to say. I've added a few lights here just to give you the effect of what would have been under the water if of course the water was still in here. And I've got some skeletons, some posing skeletons, again just to drive home the fact that it's been here for quite some time. We've also got some of these cool little body bags just to make it look like it was almost like a burial site, etc. I've added in some plants, dead plants more specifically in a few areas, again just to give that overgrown feel you can see here in the corners. And I've left a few little beer bottles here. Somebody had a bit of fun before the world ended, so to speak. And of course the cooler looks damaged anyway, and so there's the deck chair or deck lounger. And again, nice easy build to add to your hopefully mansions that you're doing or bigger builds or whatever. And you can see here the steps as well. I've just finished those off and amended them to make them broken and damaged. So nice easy changes. It works for immersive builders, it works for clean builders, and everything in between. Get creative. Let me know in the comments what you've done or what you're planning on doing, and of course also just you know, comment and let me know what you think about this tutorial. And yeah, until next time, we'll speak soon. Take care.